UFC Fight Night Dern versus Rodriguez, a full card prediction, 11 fights on the entire fight card right there. The main event, Mackenzie Dern and Marina Rodriguez, a Muay Thai practitioner and obviously a Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, Mackenzie Dern. The co-main event, not really co-main event worthy, but Randy Brown and Jared Gooden in the welterweight division, Tim Elliott and Matthews Nikolai in the flyweight division, Maria Gapova and Sabina Mazzo in the women's flyweight division, Phil Hawes and Ronald win in the middleweight division, Chris Gutierrez and then Felipe Corrales in the bantamweight division, Lorenzo Sarapoli and Jamie Pickett in the middleweight division, Jared Vandermeer and Alexander Romanov in the heavyweight division right there, Charles Rosa and Damon Jackson in the featherweight division, Lupita Gutierrez and Sam Hughes in the women's strawweight division, Charlie Ontiveros and Steve Garcia in the UFC lightweight division. I cannot wait for a lot of these fights right here. It isn't necessarily like the best fight card you've ever seen, because there's a lot of fights on here that really aren't worthy of main card consideration, like Maria Gapova, Sabina Mazzo on the main card. Really, Randy Brown, Jared Gooden as a co-main event, really, they're not really the best fights you've ever seen. But I mean, the UFC has been spoiling us very, very much recently. I mean, UFC 266 was absolutely insane. Before that, we had Brunson Till, Barbosa Chikadze, Cannonier Gaslam. So eventually, we're gonna get one of these type of cards, or there's not really the best fights out there, but really, really good fight card for UFC Fight Night Dern versus Rodriguez. If you want all of my bets and all of the bets that I'm going to be making for UFC Fight Night Dern versus Rodriguez, you can become a member in the comment section below or in the description below to see all of my bets for UFC, Bellator, PFL, and Dana White's Contender Series. But for right now, we're going to go on into the first fight in the UFC lightweight division, Charlie Ontiveros and Steve Garcia in the UFC lightweight division. Charlie Ontiveros has a record of 11 wins and 7 losses, and I'm going to say it right now, does not have the best chin. I mean, out of all of the losses right here, yeah, 7 fights lost by knockout. That is absolutely horrible. One of them by a second round elbow knockout, one being by rib injury, one by Dr. Savage, ground upon TKO, knee to the body knockout, first shot knockout loss, and then a neck injury knockout. Every single loss is a knockout loss in the first or second round. Now, he is pretty good at range, throws some pretty crazy stuff, flying knees, head kicks, all that type of stuff. If he can keep the fight at range, stay away from the pressure of Steve Garcia, he can definitely win the fight. But I mean, his chin is absolute dog water. It's just absolutely horrible. Steve Garcia is going to go out there, put on the most pressure he has ever put in any fight out there. He's going to come forward, throw really, really big shots, left hooks, overhand rights, uppercuts, flying knees, head kicks. I mean, whatever Steve Garcia can do in the fight to just throw really big shots, that's what he needs to do. Come forward and just throw volume, throw pressure, and eventually you're probably going to knock out Charlie Ontiveros, to be quite honest, because 7 out of 7 losses by knockout, that is absolutely horrible. So in this fight, I think Steve Garcia is going to be kind of keeping the fight at range for at least 30-45 seconds, jabbing a 1-2, and then eventually, once he figures out the range of Charlie Ontiveros, he's going to come forward with a right hook to overhand left over and over and over again, get Charlie Ontiveros' back to the cage, and he's just going to start whipping humongous shots on Charlie Ontiveros. And I do think eventually he's going to land a big overhand left right on the button of Charlie Ontiveros and knock him out in the first or second round. We saw how much pressure Steve Garcia could put in the fight he had with Luis Pena. He came forward and threw a lot of volume and a lot of pressure in that Luis Pena fight. So if he's able to do the exact same thing here with Charlie Ontiveros, which I think he will be able to, he's going to knock out Charlie Ontiveros. So my prediction right here for Steve Garcia and then Charlie Ontiveros is Steve Garcia putting on relentless pressure, coming forward, getting Charlie's back to the cage, and landing a big overhand left. A really good fight in the lightweight division, but a very easy win for Steve Garcia in the UFC lightweight division right there. Lupita Gutierrez and Sam Hughes in the women's strawweight division. Sam Hughes, we kind of know a way to beat her. It's either go out there heavy pressure, heavy pressure, and just more heavy pressure, just like Tecia Torres did in that it was a short notice fight, of course, but Tecia literally just came forward and just started throwing everything she had, and eventually TKO'd her at the end of that first round. Loma Lookboonmee came out there, put on some really good pressure, and mixed in the takedown. So if you're going to beat a girl like Sam Hughes, you need to put on a heavy pressure, throw some really big shots, and then mix in the takedowns. Lupita Gonzalez is the perfect girl to do the exact same thing. 5 wins and 1 loss. The last fight with Jessica Penne, I don't necessarily think she lost. I think it was sort of a robbery in that one, but I do think Lupita Gonzalez is that one girl like a Tisha Torres. I mean, she's obviously nowhere near the scale of Tisha Torres, but she has that ability to just come forward, throw volume, and throw pressure on Sam Hughes right here. So Sam Hughes, the pressure, if you put any sort of pressure on Sam Hughes, she doesn't really know what to do. She just jabs and backs up. She just jabs and backs up. Jabs and 1-2s and backs up. Lupita's going to eat that jab and just keep on coming forward. Some really, really big shots. I also think Lupita Gonzalez does have the wrestling and grappling advantage. She's got a good double A takedown, a good trip takedown against the cage as well. And the takedown defense that Sam Hughes used in the last fight with Loma Lukbumi was not very impressive. So I think in the striking game, Lupita is going to just pressure the heck out of Sam Hughes and mixing the takedowns as well. Sam Hughes does not do good against pressure and does not do good against girls that get her in the clinch and then take her down. Lupita Gonzalez in the wrestling, in the clinch, in the grappling, and in the striking, everywhere look at the fight, Lupita Gonzalez will have the advantage. So I'm going to go Lupita Gonzalez by a 30-27, 30-27, and I'll go a 30-26, unanimous decision win right there. Really good fight in the women's strawweight division. Charles Rosa and Damon Jackson in the featherweight division. Charles Rosa with 14 wins and 5 losses, 35 years old. Yeah, he's already 35 years old, but he's going to be a little bit less in terms of height and a lot less in terms of reach against Damon Jackson right there. Neither guy is really the best striker. They're both kind of point strikers, if that's what you want to think about it. For Damon Jackson and Charles Rosa, just going out there, jabbing 1-2 and leg kicking, body kicking, and just trying to outpoint each other in the striking to get the decision win. Neither one of them on the feet is really going to be going for a knockout. Charles Rosa, if you look at how many wins he does have by knockout, 3 wins by knockout, and guess how many of them were on the feet? 0. Every single one of those knockouts was a ground upon TKO. For Damon Jackson, I don't think he has too many knockouts on his record either. 3 knockout wins, but 14 submission wins right there. So neither guy really has any power in their hands whatsoever. So the chances we're going to see a knockout from Charles Rosa or Damon Jackson are practically 0. There's just no way we're going to see a finish from either one of the guys right here. But Charles Rosa, if the fight stays on the feet, I think he can slightly out-volume Damon Jackson, slightly out-point Damon Jackson in the striking game, and edge out a 29-28 decision. But in the grappling, Damon Jackson does have a very, very good advantage. Derek Minner absolutely dominated him in the wrestling and grappling. Bryce Mitchell absolutely dominated Charles Rosa in the wrestling and grappling. Now, of course, Damon Jackson is no Bryce Mitchell. He's no Derek Minner either, but he does have much better grappling and wrestling to Charles Rosa as well. So right here in the UFC featherweight division, it's going to be very even on the feet. Charles Rosa maybe out-voluming Damon Jackson by 1 or 2 strikes, but overall Damon will use the fight to keep at range, and once Charles Rosa comes in and land a combination, is going to go down for the takedown, get him down, and just out-grapple him for at least 2 out of the 3 rounds right here. So the striking is very even, but Damon Jackson mixing in the wrestling and grappling every now and then in the fight will get on the decision win right here. I don't see Damon Jackson submitting Charles Rosa because I mean, to be quite honest, if Yair Rodriguez couldn't finish him, if Bryce Mitchell wasn't able to finish him, if Derek Minner wasn't able to finish him, yeah, Shane Burgos finished him, but, I mean, Shane Burgos, Damon Jackson, much, much different, but if these guys were not able to finish him on the ground, I really don't think that Damon Jackson will be able to finish him. So 100% this fight is gonna go the distance. We're gonna see one of the 2 guys win the fight by decision, and because Damon Jackson is the better wrestler, the better grappler, I am gonna go Damon Jackson winning the fight by a 29-28 unanimous decision. Really good fight in the featherweight division right there. Alexander Romanov and Jared Vanderaa in the heavyweight division. Very, very big favorite right here. -400 on the betting odds. Jared Vanderaa being the taller, lengthier guy by 5 inches in the reach right there and 2 inches in height. But Jared Vanderaa, we know exactly where he wants the fight to be. Is obviously he wants the fight to be in the striking. If it happens like last time with Sergey Spivak, he's gonna lose the fight. I mean, he got taken down by Sergey Spivak fairly easily in that fight, and then ended up getting TKO'd in the second round right there. That is the exact game of Alexander Romanov. Go out there, take it down with a double leg takedown, and get the forearm choke, get the arm triangle, get the slam knockout, ground up on TKO. That's what he's trying to do. 9 submission wins, 4 knockout wins, and only 1 win by decision. And that was against Juan Espino in the last fight right there. But this fight with Alexander Romanov and Jared Vanderaa, Jared, I don't know if he's going to be able to defend the takedowns. Yeah, the cardio of Ramana does worry me for the second and third round. That could, if Jared Vandermeer is going to win the fight, it's going to be by knockout in the second or third round due to the cardio disadvantage of Alexander Ramana. But Ramana, he's got devastating ground and pound, really, really good submission skills, and Sergey Spivak was he got the fight to the ground fairly easily in the second round and ended up TKOing him. And I do think the exact same thing is going to happen right here. Alexander Ramanov, King Kong Ramanov right there is going to get the fight down with a takedown, ground and pound the heck out of Jared Vanderaa, and I do think he's going to submit Jared Vanderaa in the fight. It's very hard to think about it where you're going to go submission or ground upon TKO for Ramanov. You really have no idea because he mixes it up so well. He likes to ground upon a lot, and then if he sees that submission opportunity, he will go for it. But if he does not see it, he'll just keep on ground upon. So I have no idea if Ramanov is going to get the ground upon TKO. I have no idea if he's going to get a rear naked, an arm triangle, another forearm choke. I have no idea how Ramanov is going to finish the fight, but I do think he will finish the fight in the very first round, either by a ground upon TKO or by submission in the first round right there. Really good fight in the heavyweight division. Lorenzo Sarapoli and Jamie Pickett in the middleweight division. Jamie Pickett and Lorenzo Sarapoli, whoever loses this fight right here, they're going to get cut. I mean, Lorenzo Sarapoli, yeah, he had, 2 wins over Hector Aldana and then Thiago Alves. Then he lost 3 straight to Muslim Salikov, Tim Means, and then Roman Dolidze. He's 28 and a half years old. He's going to have a significant reach disadvantage to Jamie Pickett right there. But whoever loses this fight is going to get cut from the UFC. Jamie Pickett needs to get the fight at range in the striking part of the game. I mean, he does very good at just jabbing and 1-2 and leg kicking and just keeping range. But once his opponent are able to really close that distance on Jamie Pickett and then land some big shots like Lorenzo Sarapoli is probably going to want to do, that is how Jamie Pickett ends up losing. The last fight with Jordan Wright closed that distance, got Jamie Pickett's back to the cage and just started throwing and ended up getting the knockout. But that is how Lorenzo Sarapoli is going to win. He's just put on a heavy pressure on Jamie Pickett, not get clinched up, because we saw exactly what happened when Lorenzo Sarapoli got clinched up like last time against Roman Dolidze. But if he can stay away from the clinch on Jamie Pickett, put on the pressure, get Jamie Pickett's back to the cage, I can definitely see a way for Lorenzo Sarapoli to get a knockout right here in the first or second round. But Jamie Pickett, he saw the way that you're going to beat a guy like Lorenzo Sarapoli is to wrestle and grapple Lorenzo Sarapoli, clinch up with him, and then mix in the wrestling and grappling combinations. Keep the fight at range, and every single time Lorenzo closes distance, clinch up, and do what Roman Dolidze was doing in the last fight right there. But that is the way Jamie Pickett is going to win. I think that the odds are a little bit too much in favor of Lorenzo Sarapoli. If I were to have to put odds right here, I honestly think it's a -110 fight, because Jamie Pickett, with a height and with a reach advantage, can kind of just keep range. Every time Lorenzo Sarapoli closes distance, he's going to clinch up and mix in the wrestling and grappling. The wrestling and grappling game of Jamie Pickett is very underrated, but I still think he will have the wrestling, grappling, and clinching advantage over Lorenzo Sarapoli. So this is going to be my first underdog of the night. I am going to go Jamie Pickett winning that fight by a very close to 29-28 decision. Lorenzo, he's got more power, he throws more volume, but I think Jamie Pickett can mix in some wrestling and grappling in there and win the fight by a very close decision right there. But really good fight in the middleweight division right there. Chris Gutierrez and Felipe Corrales in the bantamweight division. Felipe Corrales with 10 wins and 2 losses. Gonna be a very heavy underdog on Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez with 16 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws. Heavy striking advantage over Felipe Corrales. We saw the last fight, he got absolutely destroyed in the first round against Luke Saunders, got destroyed in the striking against Montel Jackson. I mean, the striking of Felipe Corrales is not really the best, but he does have some pretty good wrestling and grappling skills. But against a guy like Chris Gutierrez, Chris has very good takedown defense, and the kicking game of Chris Gutierrez is absolutely amazing. Amazing calf kicks. I mean, the calf kicks he's shown in the last fight with Andre Yule, they were just absolutely amazing. Before that, yeah, he beat Cody Durden, beat Vince Morales as well, Geraldo de Freitas by 1 win by a leg kick knockout win, and then another that was almost by a leg kick knockout. But the leg kicks of Chris Gutierrez are going to be the story of Felipe Corrales. Chris Gutierrez, the volume that he's able to attack the legs on Felipe Corrales, Felipe is not even going to be able to land a takedown because his legs are going to be so jacked up that he's not going to be able to explode on going for that takedown. So with those leg kicks in the first round, Felipe won't be able to land the takedowns, and Chris Gutierrez is the stronger fighter, the more powerful striker, the faster striker, and he's going to be the more volume type of striker right here as well. So I really do not see Felipe Corrales winning right here. Chris Gutierrez is going to attack those lead legs in the first round, really destroy the calf of Felipe Corrales, not really allowing him to land takedowns in the later rounds, and Chris Gutierrez is just going to dominate him in the striking in the second and third round. So my prediction right here is going to be a late second round or early third round knockout. I think Chris Gutierrez is going to really attack those legs in the first and second, and all of those dividends are going to pay out in the third round, where he's going to put on the pressure and maybe get a leg kick knockout win off Felipe Corrales, or back Felipe Corrales up to the cage and get the knockout right there. But my prediction right here for Chris Gutierrez and Felipe Corrales is Chris mixing in those leg kicks in the first and second round and TKOing him in the third and final round right there. Really good fight in the bantamweight division between Chris Gutierrez and Felipe Corrales, but I got Chris Gutierrez by a KO TKO in the third round. Really good fight in the bantamweight division. Phil Hawes and Dern win in the middleweight division. Dern win obviously needs to go out there and wrestle and grapple for the decision win. If Dern win is going to win, there's no way, in my opinion, that it's going to be a TKO win or a submission win. He lost one fight to Gerald Mershar and then to Darren Stewart in his last couple of fights by rear naked and by split decision. But the wrestling and the grappling game of Dern win is absolutely amazing. He landed like 8 or 9 takedowns on Antonio Arroyo. It was a lot of takedowns against Antonio Arroyo. It was absolutely crazy. But out of all of the wins, all of them are literally him just coming forward with some huge shots on the feet and then going down for the takedown. But against this fight with Phil Hawes, who also has very, very good wrestling and grappling skills, I mean, he's a wrestler. I mean, a foundation style right there, he is a wrestler. I just don't see Dern win able to go out there and out-wrestle, out-grapple a guy like Phil Hawes, who literally just went out there and out-grapple Kyle Dawkins, who's also a very good grappler. So I don't think Dern win will be able to land the takedowns here. Phil Hawes will keep the fight on the feet. He's got a really, really good jab to overhand, and I think eventually he's either gonna catch Dern win with a jab to overhand right, or a jab to uppercut as Dern win is going in for the takedown. But right here, Dern win in the striking, there's just no chance I see him winning. He's gonna be 6 inches smaller and have a 7.5-inch reach disadvantage. That is absolutely insane. So right here, Phil Hawes is going to put on the pressure on Dern win and either land an overhand right or uppercut knockout on Dern win in the first or second round. Very easy prediction win right there for Phil Hawes, up high knockout in the first or second round right there. Really good fight in the middleweight division. Maria Agapova and Sabina Mazzo in the women's flyweight division. Maria Agapova has a better boxing than Sabina Mazzo, but Sabina Mazzo has a better kickboxing than Maria Agapova, as well as Sabina Mazzo will definitely have the cardio advantage over Maria Agapova. The cardio shown in the last fight with Shayna Dobson, absolute garbage. I mean, she went out there in the first round and looked pretty decent against Shayna Dobson, but the second round, I mean, her cardio looked absolutely horrible in that second round. She's going to be a little bit smaller in terms of height, a little bit less in terms of reach right there, but she's going to be the more powerful striker than Sabina Mazzo, and she does throw a little bit more volume than Sabina Mazzo. The only thing getting me very worried about picking the underdog in Maria Agapova is going to be the cardio. Of course, 9 wins and 2 losses, only 2 losses to Shayna Dobson, and then, yeah, a good fighter in Tracy Cortez right there, but losing to a girl like Shayna Dobson, that's just sad, man. But out of all of her wins, most of them are on the ground by submission or by ground upon TKO. But in this fight, it's going to be a striking fight. And Maria Agapova boxing Sabina Mazzo, and Sabina Mazzo kickboxing Maria Agapova. But it should be a very, very even fight. It's really going to come down to who can land the more volume. That is going to be more powerful, because I believe Sabina Mazzo can keep the volume very, very even with the kicks at range, the leg kicks, the body kicks, the front kicks, the jabs, the 1-2s, all that type of stuff. She can keep the volume very even and maybe even land more volume than Maria Agapova. But because Maria Agapova is going to be the more powerful striker, the judges might just side with Maria Gapova just because those strikes are a little bit more powerful. I mean, there's been fights out there where you see the striking differential. Like one girl has 12 strikes and the other girl has 10 strikes. But because those 10 strikes were a little bit more powerful, the girl with the less amount of strikes ended up winning the round just because she landed the more powerful strikes. And because of that, I'm going to go Maria Agapova. I think she goes out there, plays it a little bit more patient in the first round as to not tire her out as much as she did in the Shana Dobson fight. She's going to win the first round with the boxing, putting on the pressure on Sabina Mazzo, not tiring out too much in that very first round, coming back in the second round, and then laying it all out on the line in that second round, winning the first round, winning the second round, tiring out in the third round, and Sabina Mazzo just absolutely destroying Maria Agapova in the third and final round and losing the fight by 29-28 decision. So I think Maria wins the first round, wins the second round, tires out way much in the third round, and ends up losing the third. So the first and second round go Maria, and the last and final round goes to Sabina Mazzo. So my prediction right here in the women's flyweight division is very slightly gonna go to Maria Agapova, winning the fight by 29-28 decision. It all comes down to the cardio, because the volumes are even. The power advantage does go Maria Agapova, but the cardio is what we really need to look at right here. And I'm not too sold on Maria Agapova's cardio, but I'm still going to go her to win, because I think she'll be able to put on that volume and that pressure in at least the first and second round. And if the cardio does get to her, yeah, she'll lose the third round, but she'll get the first and second and win the fight by decision. Very close fight in the women's flyweight division. But my prediction, Maria Agapova by a decision right there. Tim Elliott and Matthews Nikolai in the flyweight division. Tim Elliott with 17 wins, 11 losses, and 1 draw right there. Out of all of his wins, he's fought some very good guys. John Dodson right there, Joseph Benavidez, Ali Bagontinov, Zach Mikowski, Matt Schnell right there, Demetrius Johnson, Luis Smolka, Davison Figueroa, Brandon Royval, Askar Askarov. He's fought some very legit names in this flyweight division. Yeah, his last 2 wins, they were decent wins, but the 2 guys that he beat are no longer even inside the UFC. Jordan Espinosa got cut from the UFC, and Ryan Benoit got cut from the UFC. So I really, those 2 wins right there for Tim Elliott, I'm really not too impressed with. I'm not too impressed with, to be quite honest with you, because they're both cut from the UFC. So this fight with Matthews Nikolai is mainly going to be a striking fight. I mean, Tim Elliott has very good grappling. He's got some really good ground and pound as well. Matthews Nikolai also has some pretty good grappling and ground and pound. And I do think they're kind of going to be so even in the grappling and wrestling game that it's just going to be a striking fight. Tim Elliott is going to go out there and try to put on the pressure, just out volume Matthews Nikolai, but I still think the volume is going to be very even between Matthews Nikolai and Tim Elliott. It's just Matthews throws a lot more power in his shots. He's got better striking defense than Tim Elliott, and he throws a lot more power than Tim Elliott as well. So I do think the fight right here between Matthews Nikolai and then Tim Elliott is going to go Matthews Nikolai, just because the grappling and wrestling is going to be very even. I think that kind of nullifies each other. And then in the striking, the volume is going to be even, but the power in which they're landing that volume is going to go Matthews Nikolai. So in the fact that Tim Elliott's fight with Ryan Benoit, a guy that's no longer inside the UFC, was that close. I mean, he literally outlanded Ryan Benoit by like 5 to 8 strikes, which is not too impressive if I'm being quite honest with you. So I'm going to go Matthews Nikolai. He's the better striker, the faster striker, throws a little bit more power in his strikes as well. So my prediction right there in the flyweight division is going to be Matthews Nikolai winning that fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. Really good fight in the flyweight division right there. Randy Brown and Jared Gooden in the welterweight division. And it's going to be the co-main event. Again, it should not be the co-main event. I mean, out of all the fights right here, yeah, it is the most likely fight to be the co-main event, but I mean, on any other UFC fight night, Jared Gooden versus Randy Brown, it would definitely not be the co-main event, but overall, it's still going to be a good fight. 31-year-old Randy Brown, a lot taller, a little bit lengthier than Jared Gooden right there. He's going to be way more technical at range, jabbing to 1-2 and leg kicking, front kicking, and he's going to have the grappling and wrestling advantage. Out of his 13 wins and 4 losses, got a lot of knockout wins on his record with 6 knockouts, 5 submissions, and then 2 decision wins as well. A one-arm rear naked submission on Alex Oliveira in his last fight. Before that, losing to Vicente Luque, Bilal Muhammad, and then Nico Price. Number 4 fighter in the lightweight, or in the welterweight division right there, Bilal Muhammad, a top 10 fighter in the welterweight division, and Nico Price, a top 20 fighter in the welterweight division. So all of the guys Randy Brown is losing to are very, very solid strikers and very, very solid wrestlers as well. But right here in the fight with Jared Gooden, all Jared really has is the jab, overhand right, and the jab to 1-2. That is all Jared Gooden really has. He showed in the last fight with Nikolai, he does have some very, very solid power in his hands. I don't see him. I really don't see him knocking out Randy Brown. Yeah, Randy Brown, he has been knocked out before. Like the fight with Vicente Luque, like the fight against Nico Price. But the Nico Price fight is a fluke. I mean, hammer fist from bottom position, that is not going to happen here. And then the fight with Vicente Luque, it's Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque is one of the most powerful strikers in the welterweight division. So I don't think Randy Brown doesn't. I think Randy Brown has a good chin. It's just those 2 knockout wins were such fluky losses by knockout. I mean, Randy Brown, by all means, he does not have a bad chin by any means right there. But the fight will stay on the feet for the most part right here. Jared Gooden is going to look to come forward through a lot of volume and look for the knockout on Randy Brown. But Randy Brown with a height advantage, with a reach advantage, he's just going to jab 1-2, kickbox at range, mix in the wrestling and the grappling as well, because he's going to have the wrestling and grappling advantage. He's going to have the striking advantage in terms of volume. So everywhere the fight goes, in the clinch, in the wrestling, on the ground with the grappling game as well, everywhere the fight goes, I do give the advantage to Randy Brown. He's the better striker, the better wrestler, the better grappler, the better clincher, so I really don't see any avenues for Jared Gooden winning other than a jab to overhand right on Randy Brown by knockout in the first or second round. I just don't see that happening. Randy Brown is pretty much better in every facet of the game. So my prediction right here for Randy Brown and Jared Gooden is going to be, I'm trying to decide on knockout or decision. I'm gonna go a decision right here. Jared Gooden has not been knocked out in quite a while. I mean, 2 decision losses against Alan Jouban and Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Yeah, he did get 1 loss against Bruno Oliveira by knockout, but that is about it. Only 1 loss by knockout. So I'm gonna go Randy Brown by a decision winner right there. 29-28, out striking, out grappling, out wrestling, and out clinching for 3 straight rounds. Unanimous decision win for Randy Brown right there. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Marina Rodriguez and Mackenzie Dern in the women's strawweight division. A 5-round main event of this UFC fight night right here. Of course, Mackenzie Dern having the grappling advantage, maybe having the wrestling advantage. I mean, her wrestling has not been the best. If you look at her takedown accuracy, it's around 30-40%, which is not really that impressive if you ask me. But she's going to be smaller in terms of height, smaller in terms of reach. Marina is going to be the way better striker. Amazing Muay Thai skills, jabs, 1-2s, overhands, really good leg kicks, really good body kicks, high kicks, front kicks. Everything in terms of Muay Thai, Marina Rodriguez will have the advantage, of course. 14 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws. Knocking out Amanda Ribas by second round knockout. Beating Michelle Watterson by unanimous decision. Losing to Carla Esparza in a very close split decision. And then before that, getting a lot of other very good wins over Tisha Torres. Fighting Reina Marcos right there. Jessica Aguilar, Sandy Calvillo. She's fighting some really solid girls, but she's got a lot of power in her hands. 6 knockout wins right there. 1 submission win, and then 7 decision wins right there. If she's gonna beat Mackenzie Dern, I can see it being a knockout. It's very likely, but Mackenzie Dern is a very tough girl. I don't see her finishing Mackenzie Dern. So either way, if Marina Rodriguez is gonna win the fight, it's gonna be on the feet, just out-voluming Mackenzie Dern, throwing the more powerful strikes, the faster strikes, because she's obviously gonna have the advantage in the striking in terms of speed, in terms of volume, in terms of pressure, in terms of power, everything in the striking. Marina Rodriguez will have the advantage. I just don't see her finishing Mackenzie Dern on the feet. So if Marina is going to win, it will be a decision win. And then Mackenzie Dern is going to win. Of course, it's going to be her going out there, keeping the fight at range in the striking, kind of getting the feel for the striking as Marina's coming in, going for the takedown, just out grappling, out wrestling Marina Rodriguez for 5 straight rounds and winning the fight by a decision, or before that, getting a submission win. But it's a very close fight. I think there's a lot of good ways for both girls to win right here. Mackenzie Dern, one of the best grapplers the women's strawweight division has ever seen. Out of all of her 11 wins and 1 loss, she's got 7 submission wins right there, and then 0 knockout wins. So we already know she doesn't really have the most power to scare off a girl like Marina Rodriguez, but the grappling and wrestling is there. I would honestly not mind if Mackenzie Dern literally just pulled guard on Marina Rodriguez, to be quite honest with you, just because she's going to have that big of a wrestling and grappling advantage. But knee bar submission win over Hannah Cyphers right there, arm bar submission win on Randa Marcos, decision win on Verna Jandiroba. That was mainly a striking fight, and then an arm bar submission win on Nina Nunes right there. But this is going to be a very, very close fight in the women's strawweight division, but I'm going to go Mackenzie Dern by a decision. The striking of Mackenzie Dern has been improving very, very much throughout the years. It's gotten so much better. The Verna Jandiroba fight shows she can also strike rather than just go out there and look for the submission. She can definitely strike very, very well. So the striking right here, of course, the advantage will go Marina Rodriguez, but Mackenzie Dern can keep the striking pretty even, land the takedowns mixed in there as well, go over some submissions, but because Marina Rodriguez, I think, has some pretty solid takedown defense, has yet to be submitted in her professional MMA career, has yet to be finished in her professional MMA career as well. I think the fight goes either way. Whoever wins the fight, I do think it will be a decision. If Mackenzie wins, it'll be a 48-47, very close grappling and a wrestling decision. If Marina Rodriguez wins, it's going to be a very close 48-47 striking decision right there. But very close fight in the women's strawweight division. I think Mackenzie Dern keeps the fight even on the feet and mixes in at least one takedown every single round, and gets very, very close to a submission. I think there's going to be many moments where Mackenzie Dern is going to be very close to lashing in that rear naked, very close to lashing in the armbar, very close to lashing in that knee bar submission win. But I think the fight does go all the way right here, and I do think Mackenzie Dern wins the fight and goes on to fight the loser of Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Wei Li. Yeah, you got Joanna Jędrzejczyk out there, but Carla Esparza most likely is going to be fighting for the belt next. Joanna, I really have no idea when she's going to come back, to be quite honest with you, but if Mackenzie Dern goes out there and wins, I think she goes out and fights the loser of Wei Li Zhang and Rose Namajunas, then she fights for the belt right there. But the striking is going to be even, and I do think she mixes in the wrestling and grappling and wins the fight by decision. Really good fight in the women's strawweight division right there. Yeah, guys, that is my full card prediction for UFC Fight Night Dern versus Rodriguez. 11 fights on the entire fight card. I got Mackenzie Dern winning that fight by 48-47 unanimous decision, very, very closely. I got Randy Brown by 29-28 decision. Matthews Nikolai by a decision right there. Maria Agapova by a decision. Phil Hawes by knockout. Chris Gutierrez by knockout, specifically in the third and final round. Jamie Pickett by knockout right there. Allison Ramana by TKO, Damon Jackson by a decision, Lupita by a decision, and then Steve Garcia by knockout. So out of all the fights right here, the fights that have winning by knockout are Steve Garcia by knockout, Allison Ramana by knockout, Phil Hawes by knockout, and Chris Gutierrez by knockout. So should be a very, very good fight card for UFC Fight Night Dern versus Rodriguez. But put your predictions in the comment section below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and everything like that. So we'll see you in the next video. Let's go.